Hello, I'm George Litterst. As a pianist and music educator, I've been using Disklavier pianos for over 20 years. Today, I'd like to tell you about the extraordinary features of the Disklavier Pro, the instrument I use for playing and teaching every day. Let's begin with a tour of the Disklavier's sophisticated record and playback features. How does a piano work? A piano key functions as a lever. When you depress the key, you set the hammer in motion. At some point, the hammer is no longer under the control of the key and is in free flight toward the string. The volume of the note you hear is a function of the speed of the hammer at the moment it strikes the string. Today, most Yamaha Disklavier grand pianos include sensors, which measure the actual velocity of each hammer during a performance. Piano technicians also use these hammers to calibrate the Disklavier periodically to ensure the most accurate playback. By comparison, typical retrofitted player systems from other manufacturers record with simple key sensors measuring only the speed of the key movement. While it's true that key movement affects hammer speed, it isn't reliable enough for accurate measurement. The relationship between the key and the hammer constantly changes with temperature, humidity, and normal wear of the piano's many moving parts. Therefore, a truly professional recording system must measure actual hammer velocity. The Disklavier captures even more expressive subtleties by measuring the speed with which the key is released. Key releases are part of the rich palette of tonal colors that make piano music so unique. Pianists may choose a quick release for a crisp sound, or a slower release to dampen the strings gradually. Although typical player systems from other manufacturers do not record key release velocity, today's standard Disklavier grands achieve the greatest realism by recording and reproducing key release velocity. With their combination of key sensors and hammer sensors, standard Disklaviers today are so sensitive that they even record and reproduce key movements that do not result in audible sound. Legendary pianist Artur Rubinstein has been quoted as saying, "The more I play, the more convinced I am the pedal is the soul of the pianoforte." No doubt he was speaking about the piano's damper pedal, but to some extent his comment is applicable to the unicorda pedal, the left pedal, as well. In the early days of electronic keyboard instruments, it was typical for the sustain pedal to record just two values, on and off. Today, however, sophisticated hybrid keyboard instruments, such as Yamaha's Avant Grand, and digital pianos, such as Yamaha's Clavinova, record a spectrum of incremental values that represent the full motion of the sustain pedal. Oddly, most reproducing acoustic pianos, other than the Yamaha Disklavier, still have just two settings, on and off. Let's take a look at how the sustain pedal is used in an actual performance and why incremental pedal data is so important. Here is a graphic representation of a pianist's performance of a work by Frédéric Chopin. Note that in this section, the pianist moved the pedal swiftly between fully down and fully up. Despite the swiftness of those pedal movements, the Disklavier recorded incremental pedal locations between fully up and fully down, and that incremental pedal data is used by the Disklavier to ensure smooth pedaling on playback. Now let's take a look at the sustain pedal data in a performance of a piece by Claude Debussy. Notice how long the pianist kept the pedal in the so-called half pedal range, between fully up and fully down. In this range of pedal motion, the dampers slightly engage the strings to a greater or lesser extent, thus only partially damping the notes. It would be impossible to reproduce this half-pedaling effect accurately if the instrument could not record and play back incremental pedal data. Now that we've examined the important differences between today's standard Disklavier grand piano systems and player pianos of most other manufacturers, let's take a look at the differences between the standard Disklavier system and the Disklavier Pro. The standard Disklavier system records a performance as MIDI data. The MIDI data format has a provision for recording note-on velocity, or in this case hammer velocity, on a scale of 0 to 127. The same scale of values, 0 to 127, is used for release velocity as well as for incremental movements of the sustain and una corda pedals. The sostenuto pedal has an on-off type of function, and the Disklavier appropriately records just two values for this pedal, 0 and 127. As fine as a standard Disklavier is, there are performers, educators, and piano aficionados who demand the highest level of performance reproduction. For these customers, Yamaha offers the Disklavier Pro. The Disklavier Pro differentiates itself from the standard Disklavier in these ways. Hammer velocity and key velocity are recorded on a scale of 0 to 1023, thus providing 8 times the standard resolution. Sustain and una corda pedals are recorded on a scale of 0 to 255, thus providing twice the standard resolution. The Disklavier Pro uses MIDI data to record this so-called extended piano information, or what we commonly refer to as XP data. The Disklavier Pro is built to deliver this superior performance under the most demanding circumstances of continuous playback, such as auditions, competitions, and other lengthy listening situations. To ensure this high level of performance, the standard Disklavier employs a key sensor servo. The Disklavier Pro employs an even more advanced moving magnet and key sensor servo. You're probably wondering, what does that mean? A concert artist must constantly adjust for changes in his own pulse, body temperature, and other physiological elements during a live performance. Similarly, when a piano reproduces performances continuously, the electronic components of the playback system start to heat up, creating a condition which, if unchecked, could cause subtle disturbances to the accuracy of the playback. The Disklavier Pro's advanced servo system was designed to compensate for these changes by continuously monitoring the Disklavier's own performance and making appropriate adjustments on the fly, thus ensuring accurate reproduction at all times. The Disklavier Pro is a remarkable instrument that has no peer. It can be connected to other Disklaviers over the internet, used for long-distance concerts and master classes, and it can even be used interactively with computer software. As the premium solution for the most discriminating pianists and piano aficionados, the Disklavier Pro is a gateway to music making at the very highest level. I invite you to explore the Disklavier Pro with your Yamaha Institutional Solutions Group representative today.